The space station floated quietly in orbit around the dead world of Zereth 9, outside its walls. The galaxy was at war inside. Diplomats and soldiers from many species tried to hold a fragile peace. There were arguments in the halls, silent, stairs across the mess hall, and translators working overtime. Everyone knew this peace was temporary, but they tried to hold it anyway. Sergeant Elias Ward, a human guard from Earth, had just finished his 10-hour shift. He wore simple armor, scratched from years of use. His eyes were sharp, but not cold. His job was to protect diplomats, keep order, and follow orders. He didn't talk much. He didn't need to. Today, he was tired. All he wanted was to go to his new room, take off his boots, and sleep. He walked down the quiet corridor and stopped outside the door marked Room C7 to 9. He placed his ID chip to the scanner. A soft green light blinked. The door slid open. But inside, someone was already there. A tall, elegant figure stood near the window. Her skin shimmered with a soft lavender tone. Her white gown flowed like water. Her hair floated slightly in the air, as if touched by gravity and wind at the same time. Princess Lyriva of the A11 Empire. Elias paused at the door. I think this is my room. Lyriva turned her head slowly. Her golden eyes narrowed. Impossible. This room is for royal diplomats. You are clearly not one. She said it with a voice like silk dipped in ice. Elias stepped inside. Carefully, Sergeant Elias Ward, human guard, special clearance, assigned to room C7 to 9 this morning. She raised an eyebrow. A sign, with me. He nodded. Looks like it. There was a long silence. Elias looked at the two beds in the room, one on each side, separated by a desk and a thin privacy wall. Lyriva folded her arms. This must be a mistake. I'm guessing the station's housing system is under pressure. Elias replied calmly. Not enough space. Lots of new rivals. Admin probably did what they had to. She gave him a look that could freeze. A son. I am Princess Lyriva, first daughter of A11 Prime. My kind does not share quarters. Elias shrugged. Humans do. All the time. Bunkers, ships, dorms, tents. We adjust. Lyriva turned her back to him, clearly offended. But Elias didn't react. He set his duffel bag on his bed and sat down. The mattress was thin. He didn't complain. Outside the window, stars drifted slowly. A ship passed by a large A11 cruiser. Its wings glowed blue. Do you snore? She asked suddenly. Elias looked up. No idea. I'm asleep when it happens. She sighed deeply. This arrangement is highly inappropriate. Tell admin. He said simply. Maybe they'll fix it. I already have. They said all other rooms are occupied. Then I guess we're roommates. Over the next few days. Life in the room became tensed out. Elias kept to his side. He was neat, quiet, and followed a routine. Wake early, shower, run a systems check, report for duty. At night, he returned, cleaned his armor, and read on his datapad. Lyriva, on the other hand, performed long, detailed rituals every morning, washing her hands in glowing water, singing to a crystal orb, and wearing different robes for each part of the day. The scent of her oils filled the room, floral and sharp. They barely spoke. One evening, as Elias was polishing his boots, Lyriva suddenly snapped. Do you not find silence uncomfortable? Elias looked up. No, silence is peaceful. She frowned. It's unnatural. On A11, silence means mourning. On Earth, silence means rest. They stared at each other. Different worlds, different meanings. Lyriva looked away. Your world must be very strange. Yours too, Elias said, but not unkindly. Later that week, there was a small accident. The room's translator module used to smooth over complex alien words malfunctioned. During a tense moment, Lyriva said something in her language that translated into, You have the manners of a soil walker. Elias blinked. What? She looked surprised, checked the translator, and repeated herself. This time, it came through as, You act like someone who eats with their feet. He raised an eyebrow. Pretty sure that's not what you meant. She hissed softly in frustration. No, I meant someone without refinement. Feet eater. is a bit worse. Despite herself, Lyriva let out a small laugh. Just a tiny one. But it was the first time. That night, Elias stayed up late. He removed the broken translator and opened it with a small toolkit. He worked in silence. Bent over wires and circuits, Lyriva watched from across the room. Curious, you fix machines? She asked. I try. I thought humans hired others for that. We fix our own problems when we can, Elias said an hour later. The translator buzzed softly and lit up. Fixed. He handed it to her. Try now. She held it gently. Thank you. He nodded. No problem. The next morning, they shared breakfast in silence. This time, it felt easier. Outside, the galaxy still burned. Fleets still moved, armies still prepared. But in room C7 to 9, a human and an alien princess sat at opposite ends of a small table, learning how not to hate each other. Just for a little while. The days passed slowly on the neutral space station. Outside, the galaxy stayed on edge. Fleets moved through space like sharks in dark water. But inside room C7 to 9, the real battle was not between armies but between two very different people, trying to live under the same roof. Sergeant Elias Ward continued his quiet routine. Wake up, quick stretch, cold shower, armor on, and out for duty. He spoke little and didn't complain. But life with Princess Lyriva was far from simple. She had a strict daily schedule. Before dawn, she sang ancient 11 hymns. Then she meditated for 40 minutes while floating inside a glowing energy ring she brought from home. When she ate, she chewed every bite exactly 30 times. And every object she touched had to be placed back in perfect order. Elias tried to stay out of her way, but the small room didn't help. One morning, he came back from a long patrol, sweaty and exhausted. He kicked off his boots near the bed. Lyriva stared at them like they were weapons. That smell, she said, covering her nose. Yeah, sorry. Elias said, it's been a long shift. You should place your boots in the hygiene locker. Didn't think you'd care? I do. Elias gave a small sigh, picked up the boots, and put them inside the metal locker near the wall. The door closed. With a soft hiss, better, he asked. She nodded without smiling. Much. One evening, they both reached for the same water dispenser. Their hands brushed lightly. Lyriva froze like someone touched her with fire. Human skin is warm, she said quietly. Elias shrugged. Yours is cooler than I expected. It is proper. Heat is for fire beasts. Elias raised an eyebrow. Guess I'm part dragon, then. Lyriva didn't smile, but her eyes softened. They sat down to eat at the same time. Elias opened a ration pack, bland but filling. Lyriva placed small golden seeds into a steaming blue paste. He watched with interest. That smells floral. It is a meal from my mother's house, she said. Prepared in the 11 way. Elias nodded. Looks better than my protein bar. You eat like a soldier. I am one. She paused, then asked, do you enjoy battle? Elias shook his head. No. I just protect people who can't fight. That's enough. She looked down at her dish. Where I come from, warriors fight to prove their worth. On Earth, we fight only when we have to. Lyriva blinked slowly. Strange, but not wrong. Later that week, the station's central translator system began to fail. There were power issue systems blinking, lights flickering, strange sounds in the walls. The whole station seemed tense, like it could burst under pressure. One morning, while Elias cleaned his gear, Lyriva approached him holding her communicator. This keeps translating your words incorrectly, she said. How so? You said, relax, I've got this. It translated to, prepare for doom. I hold the stone of endings. Elias laughed. Well, I guess that's one way to hear it. Lyriva didn't laugh, but her lips curved slightly. That night, Elias pulled out a small toolkit and sat at the desk. He opened the translator with a steady hand. You should not be doing this, she said. This is not your job. I don't like broken things. Lyriva tilted her head. You repair machines as well as fight. I repair machines. Friendships, bunk beds, vending machines, whatever needs fixing. She sat nearby, curious. How do you know what to do? Trial and error. And manuals. And duct tape. Duct tape? She repeated. It's a human miracle. Fixes everything. She made a soft sound that almost sounded like a laugh. The next morning, Lyriva offered him a small bowl of her fruit paste. Elias looked at it. Sure this won't melt my organs? Only. Mildly, she said, almost teasing. He tasted it. It was sweet and cold with a hint of spice. Not bad. He said, You ever try human coffee? She shook her head. He poured a bit into a tiny silver cup and slid it across the table. She took a sip. Her eyes widened. This tastes like burnt dirt. Exactly. Elias grinned. It's an earth treasure. She coughed and wiped her mouth, but said nothing more. That evening, the station went dark for 30 seconds. No lights. No sound. Then, emergency lights blinked on, red and slow. A warning tone echoed across the halls. Power fluctuation in Sector 6. All personnel remain calm. Elias stood quickly. That's near the diplomatic wing. He grabbed his gear. But Lyriva grabbed his arm. Double quotes, wait. Do not rush. There could be danger. He looked into her eyes. You worried about me? I am worried about this room. Without you, it would be more annoying. Elias smiled. Thanks. That almost sounded like a compliment. By the time he returned that night, things were quiet again. The power had been restored. A small creature had chewed through one of the energy lines. It was handled. Elias opened the door to room C7-9. Lyriva sat at her desk, writing and glowing. Letters. She looked up. Did you find the creature? Yeah, looked like a space raccoon. Did you fight it? Nah, I offered it a protein bar. It surrendered. Lyriva blinked. You made peace with a wild animal? We humans do strange things. She nodded. Yes, very strange, but sometimes useful. That night, they both read quietly in their own corners. No arguments, no tension. Just two people from different stars, slowly learning how to share. The same space. The galaxy was still in chaos, but room C7-9 was calm for now. The days on the station passed slowly, but something had started to feel off. It began with small things. The lights flickered more often. Doors took longer to open. Some people forgot where they were going mid-walk. One alien diplomat shouted. In the hallway, claiming her own reflection was mocking her. Another was found talking to a chair, convinced it was a spy. Sergeant Elias Ward didn't believe in ghosts or space curses, but he believed in patterns. And this one felt wrong. In room C7-9, the strange feeling was stronger. One evening, Princess Lyriva stood in front of the window, staring at nothing. She didn't blink. She didn't move. Elias walked in and dropped his bag. Hey, everything. Okay. She didn't answer. He walked closer. Lyriva, still no response. Her eyes were wide and glowing slightly blue. Elias carefully touched her shoulder. She gasped and stepped back like waking from a nightmare. I was somewhere else, she whispered. Where? I don't know. I saw my homeworld, but it was empty. I saw my sister, but she was made of smoke. Elias looked at her closely. Her skin was pale. Her hands were shaking. You need rest. No. She said, voice tense. Something is wrong with the station. With bus. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. He checked the station logs. Dozens of small power failures. Memory errors. Medical reports of stress. Hallucinations. Confusion all in the last week. Too many to be random. At breakfast, Lyriva didn't sing her morning hymn. She didn't touch her food. Elias placed a mug of warm coffee beside her. You okay? I dreamed of silence, she said quietly. The kind that eats sound. The kind that watches. He frowned. Something's affecting our minds. Maybe a signal or a life form. She looked at him. If it can't touch thoughts, then it already knows what we know. Elias nodded. Then we need to outsmart it. Later that day, Elias met with the station's chief technician, an old Martian named Dell. You're not the first to ask, Dell said. Something's eating through the systems, but it's not a virus, not a hack either. Then what? We think it's a scientity, an energy life form that feeds on thought, fear, confusion, memory. It's like a fog that drifts through tech and minds alike. Can we stop it? Dell shook his head. Can't touch it, can't trap it, but maybe you can confuse it. Confuse it. Human brains are weird. Fast-changing, messy. That might be our only edge. That night, Lyriva was sitting cross-legged on her bed, trying to meditate, but her voice cracked and her breathing was shaky. I can't remember the steps, she whispered. I forget which chant comes first. Elias sat beside her, not close, but near enough to offer calm. You're being scrambled, he said. That's what it wants. She looked at him, eyes afraid. If I lose my memories, I lose my people's history. Elias tilted his head. How? I carry the A11 archive in my mind, all of our sacred texts and royal knowledge. Passed down through memory, it is bonded to my thoughts. Elias was silent for a moment. Then we protect it. Using spare parts in his datapad, Elias built a small machine overnight. A box of blinking lights and gentle sounds that changed rhythm every few seconds. What is it? Lyriva asked. Grounding unit, he said. It plays random earth. Pattern songs, poems, colors, even jokes. It keeps your mind active and focused. She listened. A voice came from the box. Knock knock. Who's there? Interrupting cow. Interrupting cow WH moo. Lyriva blinked. That was strange. That's the point, Elias said. Smiling. Humor is chaos, confuses the entity, keeps you centered. She looked at him with something close to gratitude. Your species is very disorganized. We call it creativity for the next few days. Room C7 to 9 became a strange mix of human and alien rituals. Elias played old earth music, jazz, rock, even children's rhymes. Lyriva whispered her songs and held her memory crystal close. They practiced memory games together, naming stars, reciting lines, drawing symbols from both worlds. They didn't laugh much, but they survived. One night, while they both rested, the entity made its move. Elias woke with a sharp pain in his head. Static filled his ears. The room felt colder. He looked over and saw Lyriva floating above her bed, limbs stiff, eyes glowing bright blue. Lyriva. He rushed over and grabbed her hand, cold to cold. She whispered something. The archive protect. The machine blinked wildly, overloading. The Scifi was trying to erase her mind. Elias acted fast. He placed his own translator on her forehead and sensed it to the grounding unit. Then he did something crazy. He spoke directly to the entity. You want thoughts? He said loudly. Try mine. He pulled up old Earth videos, stand-up comedy, dancing cats, fast TV shows. Clashing languages all at once. Noise, emotion, nonsense. The entity flickered in the air like a glitch. A shimmer passed through the room and then, silence. Lyriva gasped and collapsed back onto the bed. Her eyes returned to normal. Her skin warmed. Elias dropped to the floor, exhausted. You okay? He asked weakly. She nodded slowly. You shielded me with chaos. Human gift, he muttered. The next morning, they sat together at the small table. Neither spoke at first. Then Lyriva said, if not for you, the archive would be gone. Elias took a bite of a protein bar. Wouldn't let that happen. She studied him. I was trained to see humans as wild, emotional, unfocused. He looked up, and now she smiled, just a little. Now I think wildness has its strength. He raised his mug to controlled chaos. She lifted her crystal cup and focused on her. They clinked there. Cups gently. Outside, the station still struggled, but inside room C7 to 9, the war was being fought, and slowly it was being won together. The days after the strange attack left both Elias and Lyriva wary. The space station felt different, as if invisible shadows moved just beyond sight. The strange energy that had tried to consume Lyriva's mind seemed to have left a mark on her, a deep tiredness that no rest could fix. Elias noticed the change first. The princess was quieter now, her usual sharp gaze dulled. She missed some of her daily rituals, and when she did them, they lacked their usual grace. One evening, Elias sat on his bed, polishing his boots, while Lyriva sat silently by the window. Her face was pale, her eyes staring far into the blackness. Of space. Elias finally spoke. You've been different since that night. She didn't respond. He tried again. Do you want to talk about it? Lyriva slowly turned to face him, her voice barely above a whisper. I fear I am losing something precious. What is it? Elias asked, concerned. My memories. The archive. It lives inside my mind. It is a living history of my people, songs, laws, stories passed down for generations. It connects us to our past and guides our future. Elias nodded slowly. Losing memories can be scary, but you're not alone. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. If the archive fades, so does my people's identity. I fear I am breaking. Elias put down his brush. Then we fix this, together. The next. Warning. Elias visited the station's medical bay with Lyriva. The doctors ran tests, but could find no physical cause. The princess's mind was fine, but fragile, as if a thread was unraveling. Back in their room, Elias paced while Lyriva sat cross-legged on her bed. What if, Elias began carefully, what if your mind is like a library? She looked at him curiously. A library needs order. If pages get torn or lost, you have to make copies. Make new notes, find ways to remember better. Lyriva frowned. But the archive is sacred. It cannot be rewritten. Maybe it can, Elias said gently. Maybe you can make your own notes, your own copies. Not to erase the past, but to keep it alive. She considered this a human method. Humans write journals, take pictures, record memories in machines. We create backups. Lyriva sighed. I am a princess. I was trained to carry the past perfectly, not to adapt. Adaptation is how humans survive, Elias said. You're not breaking. You're evolving. Elias pulled out his data pad and showed her simple mind mapping. Tools, colorful webs of ideas, and memories linked together. You can try this, he said. It's like drawing your memories so you don't forget. Lyriva stared at the screen. It looks strange. Try it. Elias encouraged. She hesitated but began to draw. Symbols and lines spread across the screen, stars, faces. Words in her language. After hours of work, she smiled for the first time in days. It feels lighter. Elias nodded. See, you're still the keeper of the archive, just with new tools. Over the following days, they worked side by side. Elias taught her breathing exercises to calm her mind. Lyriva shared stories of A11 history. One evening, Lyriva told Elias a story of her great-grandmother, a warrior queen who united the A11 clans during a great war. She never gave up. Lyriva said softly, even when all seemed lost. Elias smiled. Sounds like a lot of humans. I know. They laughed quietly, but the station's peace was fragile. One morning, a message arrived for Lyriva. A secret courier had slipped through the security nets. It was a warning. The war is worsening. Your people expect you to lead. Lyriva looked troubled. They need you whole, Elias said. Not broken. She nodded. I will try. That night, she stood by the window, looking at the stars. Elias joined her. Do you think the galaxy will ever be peaceful? She asked. Elias shrugged. Maybe not, but we can choose how to live in it. Lyriva smiled faintly. I want to learn that. He reached out, and she took his hand. In the quiet room, two very different souls found strength in each other. The princess was no longer just a bearer of ancient memory. She was becoming a leader who could face the future. And the human guard was no longer just a protector. He was a friend, a teacher, and a light in the dark. Together, they would face whatever came next. The space station felt tense, like a thin thread about to snap. The invisible enemy, the Scifi, was still out there, quietly slipping through the walls, minds, and systems. Both humans and A11s were on edge. Messages came in from fleets. Commanders grew restless, and rumors of attacks spread like wildfire. In room C7 to 9. Elias and Lyriva faced a new challenge, not just the unknown entity, but the fear growing between their peoples. One morning, Elias entered the room holding a datapad. Princess, he said, I've been monitoring fleet communications. Something's wrong. Lyriva stood, alert. Tell me. The station's command system was hacked. Someone set a fake preemptive strike alert. Both human and A-11 fleets are mobilizing, ready to attack each other. Her face paled. That could start a war. Exactly, Elias said. The entity or someone else wants us to fight. Lyriva paced. We must stop it. But how? The fleets don't listen to us. They only see threats. Elias thought for a moment. Maybe if we show them proof. A live broadcast of us working together showing the truth. Lyriva raised her eyebrows. A risky move. Risky, yes, but maybe the only way. They set up a small recording device in their room, streaming live to all ships in the system. Elias adjusted the camera and cleared his throat. Attention, he said clearly. This is Sergeant Elias Ward, and this is Princess Lyriva of the A-11 Empire. We are here together, showing no signs of conflict. The command system has been compromised, Lyriva added. We work together to protect this station and prevent false war. Do not trust the alarm. For ours, they answered messages, shared information, and showed the work they were doing to stop the threat. Meanwhile, engineers worked feverishly to find the source of the hack. The fleet slowed their mobilization. But it was not enough. At one point, a human cruiser fired a warning shot near an A-11 scout ship. The tension exploded. Elias rushed to the comm link, shouting, "Cease fire. This is a false alarm." Lyriva added, "We must unite, not fight." Her voice, calm and strong, reached thousands. Slowly, the fleet stood down. Leaders on both sides opened emergency talks. The station's command systems were clean of the Cyanides' influence. Peace was fragile, but real for now. Later that evening, Elias and Lyriva sat quietly. We almost lost everything, Lyriva said softly. But we saved it, together, Elias replied. She looked at him, eyes shining. Your courage, your calm, it made a difference, he smiled. Humans survive by adapting and connecting. She nodded. And sometimes, by trusting the unexpected. The galaxy was still dangerous, still divided, but in a small room on a quiet station. A human and an alien princess proved that trust and cooperation could change the course of history. The war was far from over. Fleets still moved through the stars, and distant battles raged in dark sectors. But the fragile peace on the station held. For Sergeant Elias Ward and Princess Lyriva, the days had changed. Their strange partnership had grown into a quiet friendship, one built on trust, respect, and understanding. One morning, Elias arrived at room C7-9 to find Lyriva standing by the window, looking out at the stars. The stars look different today, she said softly. Elias smiled. Maybe they do. Maybe we see them differently now. She turned to him, a small smile touching her lips. Thank you, Elias, for staying by my side. He shrugged. Guess I'm stubborn. Lyriva laughed, a light, genuine sound that filled the room. The station command had noticed their success. Elias was offered a promotion, a chance to move up the ranks and lead the station. But he refused. I want to stay. He told the officers, she needs a friend here. And maybe the galaxy needs more of what we have in room C7-9. Lyriva was touched by the loyalty. You have changed my view of humans, she said one evening. Before, I saw only your strength and wildness. Now, I see patience, creativity, and heart. Elias looked surprised. I didn't think I had all that. You do, she said simply. They added a second bed to the room, a small but important symbol. Where once there had been strangers forced to share space, now there were two allies. Learning from each other every day, they celebrated small victories. Fixing broken equipment, sharing meals, trading stories from Earth and A-11 legends. Lyriva taught Elias the meaning of her people's rituals, and Elias shared Earth's simple joys like making coffee strong enough to burn your tongue, or telling bad jokes that made no sense but still brought laughter. One evening, a message arrived from the A-11 High Council. Lyriva's role as the carrier of the archive was recognized anew, but with a new understanding. They allowed her to use new methods of memory preservation, like Elias mind maps and recordings, alongside ancient traditions. Her people saw this as a new chapter, a blending of old and new. The final days on the station were peaceful. Elias and Lyriva often sat by the window, watching ships come and go, the stars shining bright. "Do you think humans and A11s can be true allies?" Lyriva asked quietly. Elias looked at her. "I think we already are. It just took a small room to prove it." She smiled. "A room with a view." They clinked their cups, a human mug and an A11 crystal, in a simple toast. The galaxy beyond the station was still vast and dangerous, but inside rooms C7 to 9, hope had been born. Two very different souls, one human and one alien princess, had shown that peace was possible. And maybe, just maybe, that was the greatest victory of all.